Now, it is Eskom's 100th anniversary, and we're going to reflect on the power utility's a spectacular fall from grace. It was once lauded internationally. The state-owned entity has, however, become a nightmare for everyone living in South Africa as worsening power cuts grip the country. Now, to discuss these highs and lows, I'm joined by the South African National Energy Development Institute's Professor Sampson Mamphweli, who joins us virtually from here in Johannesburg, in Sandton to be precise. Prof, thank you so much for your time, as always. It is very easy to forget that in not so long ago, Eskom was being spoken up of very highly internationally as one of the world's top power utilities. What do you think of when you think of that utility that was held in such high regard? Why was it held in such high regard at the time?
Good evening to you and the viewers. Yes, Eskom was held very high at the international level. They even won some awards in the past. So the biggest challenge started with load shedding, obviously, and the problem with load shedding was first identified actually around 2003 through the white paper on renewable energy that warned South Africa that if nothing is done, we will have challenges when it comes to security of supply. And we know from there that government responded very late through the new build program, where they started with the construction of Medupi and Kusile power stations around 2008. And those projects were supposed to have been done within a space of about 5 to 10 years. But we then had challenges with those new build programs that have got to do with corruption, that have got to do with malfeasance, and a whole lot of other issues, including the design challenges that they had, cost escalations because of the corruption and other reasons. And then fast forward to 2010, government then published the Integrated Resource Plan, which is the country's plan on electricity. That basically called for a new generation capacity, addition of renewable energy into the grid, and other energy sources, basically the energy mix. And then they started implementing it. We started seeing projects coming live or coming on board from about 2013, 2014. And then we had some delays around 2015 or so when the 27 projects were not signed by Eskom, which basically took us back in terms of the implementation of that new build program through the IRP. But fast forward to now, where we are, in 2019, the IRP was then revised by the current Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy, and he started implementing it religiously. But basically what is happening is that we are following the problem in terms of implementation. The problem has already happened. We need rapid deployment of new generation capacity. We also had problems in terms of some of the old power stations that have not been properly maintained in the past, that are starting to break down left, right, center. Those power stations need renewal as things stand. And we have various plans, including the President's plan that was announced in July last year. There are other plans that are in place. So what is required now is the consolidation of these plans and going deep down into especially the 6 power stations that are giving problems, doing root cause analysis and then dealing with them. Eskom needs about 120 to 140 billion rands to fix those power stations because it's a matter of renewal now. It's no longer a maintenance that is required. So this is where we are, and that's why we're sitting with load shedding. The integrated resource plan assumed that the coal fleet will be operating at an energy availability factor of about 75%, we now sit hovering around 50 to 59% every now and then.
I think you'd agree that the amount of time it took for Eskom to go from being highly regarded internationally to where it finds itself now, in terms of that space of time, that fall from grace was pretty spectacular, and that was allowed to take place tells you a lot about the importance of that maintenance that was needed, the importance of that new build program that you spoke about in detail now. What do you make then of the rot that was allowed to set in with regards to brain drain in Eskom? We heard from one of the spokespersons involved with the presidency's task team looking at the electricity crisis, that they have managed to get a certain number of engineers and experts back into the fold and put them in hotspot areas within the Eskom ecosystem, for want of the better phrase. Do you think that will help, and do we need more of that kind of intervention?
Yeah, so the brain drain happened. So if we go back to history, Eskom went through a very good transformation process where, people, especially Black people, were put in senior positions, senior management positions, and most of them were highly qualified people. But we also had a situation where some amongst those people were basically promoted without them having necessarily qualified to be promoted to such positions. And at some point there was a situation where it became very difficult for skilled people to be associated with Eskom, and then some of them started moving out of Eskom. And because of that, most of them went for positions in the IPP space. So they are working, most of them are in the IPP space, some of them have went overseas. So because of that skills shortage, so the combination of that skills shortage plus the effect of around the maintenance of the power stations that were neglected led to where we are now. So for a system, when a unit is down, there are no great skills to fix the problem, which is why now government started looking around to say, where can we get the skills? And that also led to where we are in terms of the national state of disaster being declared. And that national state of disaster having been declared will allow government and Eskom to now source skills from within the country and also abroad, because then it removes a lot of red tapes. There's quite a lot of skills that are sitting even in other SOEs that Eskom can then pull in and start using. People can then be seconded. People can be moved around so that we can get the necessary skills at Eskom to fix the power stations. So the combination of the skills and the laborious procurement process. For instance, when a unit is down and they've identified the part that needs to be replaced, just to source that part, it takes a very long time, which is why now they had to now go for the national state of disaster to deal with issues like that as well.